Please would all stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, I thank you. I thank you for your grace. We thank you for your mercy. We thank you for your loving kindness, Father. I thank you for you allowing your wisdom, your knowledge, and understanding to be released in the atmosphere of this meeting. I thank you for binding up and neutralizing every ungodly agenda. God, I thank you for causing them to be able to come into agreement. We thank you for neutralizing conflict. And God, I thank you for releasing mercy. I thank you for releasing grace. I thank you, God, for what you're doing, a new thing in the atmosphere of the city and government meetings, God. Heal that which needs to be healed. Mend that which needs to be mended. God, refresh that which needs to be refreshed and restore that which needs to be restored in this city. And we forever carefully give you the glory, the honor, the power, and dominion that is all due unto you. In Jesus' name, Selah.
Amen. I want to go to that church. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Even politicians.
All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and one comment. We're going to see if we can finish this by 8:30. I'm going to start having goals and pressing to get it over, to move forward. Mrs. Bach, please, call the roll.
Mr. Fletcher?
He's here.
Ms. Graves?
Here.
Mrs. Turner?
Here.
Mr. Kramer?
Here.
Mayor Winger?
Present. Preliminary matters, agenda additions, deletions. Are there any from the council?
Move to adopt as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, proclamations. Chief Curry, would you come forward? And I believe you're going to do the first proclamation, which we're very excited to have.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. David Curry, Police Chief. What we're going to do tonight is present life-saving medals to Officer Gasparini, who is now Detective Gasparini. He recently transferred to the Detective Division. He's been with us a little over 6 years, about 6.5 years. We're also going to present a medal to Officer Greg Plum, who's been with us a little less than 6 months, actually. And,
wow.
And when this took place, he was only out of FTO for about a month or so.
Wow.
And Greg himself was a crossing guard for us back when he was in high school here. And then as well, this is Mike's second medal as well. So we're going to present their medals in just a second, but I just want to go over how the incident unveiled on the 17th of January. It was just before 4 o'clock p.m. They responded to Ponce de Leon Circle right over here and to Miss Saranush Davidian's home. She was, she was unresponsive, blue in the face, no pulse, not breathing. And we were there in less than 2 minutes. I think Officer Gasparini was actually there in less than 1 minute. And we responded, and with the help of, I believe, Sean, her son, they were able to get her on the floor to assess her. Then Officer Plum came with the AED. We applied the AED. It advised no shock, so they went into CPR. And Officer Gasparini proceeded with chest compressions, and thereafter she gasped for air and came back to us. The EMS arrived and assessed her, and were able to go from there with her to the hospital, and she stayed in the hospital for about 3 days and then was released. So Corporal Rivers, one of their supervisors, recommended them for the life-saving award. Again, this is Michael's second and Greg's first, and without question, they certainly deserve such. And we also have Ms. Davidian, as you can see here as well. So we want to congratulate them and honor them this afternoon. Mike. There you go, right here.
I think
You want to say a few words?
she's
Shy. Her English is not that good.
I don't think
I'm
she
going to
is.
try to speak on behalf of her.
okay.
I made the call that day, and as the officer said, less than a minute and a half, the officers were there, and my mom was not responding, and then I was very nervous. I'm going to thank everybody, the operators that were talking to me, especially the officers. Because of them, we have my mom. She's 83 years old. God bless her. But because of this gentleman behind me, we're going to have a few more years. We are very thankful of our talking. We smallest thing we can give you guys, and we are very grateful the rest of our lives. Every day we talk about them, because of them that we have her. So thank you very much for everybody. Gentlemen.
Beautiful.
And you guys, don't eat too much because we need you. Yes, thank you very much.
That's great.
Would you like to do a photo?
Speak.
Yeah, would you like to speak first, Detective?
Thank you very much.
I'm Michael Gasparini, Vero Beach Police Department, and I would just like to thank everyone involved in the community, the police department, and my family for their continued support. So thank you.
My name is Officer Plum. I just want to, first off, thankful everyone's okay. And I want to thank all the senior officers on the police department. They're really teaching me a lot, and because of them, I'm able to do a great job. I want to thank my wife who's here today, and just thank you to everyone. Thank you.
Well done.
As the council and the community, if we stand and give them a
Absolutely.
royal applaud for our police force and the training. Thank you.
Just a last comment. We think we're the poster child, if you will, for life saving in the state of Florida, as well as AED usage. And the reason I say this is the number of times we certainly use the AEDs and in turn save lives. But I speak to some of the reps that sell the AEDs throughout the state at conferences, and every time I show up, he pulls me aside and wants me to talk to other chiefs about the different saves we've had. Because it's demographics, but some agencies still don't have AEDs. Some cities don't have AEDs, and I do tell them how supportive the city manager and you as a council is as far as AEDs and the usage of, and to make sure we have them available to all our officers. Because again, we certainly use them, and they save lives as we show you and bring forth to you time and time again. So thank you for the support with that. And again, we're pretty much the poster child in the state of Florida for saving lives.
Chief Curry, how many, do you have any idea in the last year or 2 years, how many? I mean, I've seen you many times before, you and your fine officers.
Well, Michael's been here since '07, and that's his second. Again, Greg was actually involved in 3 within the last month. Unfortunately, we were able to prolong their lives, but they didn't make it. One individual was actually able to at least have their family see him at the hospital, as opposed to passing at the scene where we responded. And then, of course, we were here not long ago with Sean Toole, who has 6 of them, and two of them were the same man. They're over in
a year apart, right?
Yeah. So, but that's just a couple recent examples. But I can certainly get that number, but we certainly have used the AEDs and CPR practices quite a bit, and a lot of it is a matter of time, and the minute to 2 minute 911 response time is second to none as well. And as you know, the quicker we're there, the
more chance we're
going to be able to save somebody's life.
Chance, yeah.
And that's why we're truly called first responders.
Well, you're doing some good training, that's for sure. The training has worked.
I don't know that you need to count them. There'd be quite a few, and it was just an opportunity to brag on our fine police force.
I like to
more
try
than
to
anything
brag
else.
as much as I can. but there's been many, and again, that's why I thought I'd make note of. He certainly catches up to me at the different conferences and when I see him, and for some reason, again, there's agencies that still aren't using the AEDs and that kind of thing. I know it's budgetary and what have you, but there's no value to that, and that's what I explain to a lot of people when I do see him. So just thought I'd let you know as far as that goes.
Good job,
God bless
well
him.
done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Mayor and Council, I really want to give a little praise to David and his leadership. As you know, the department's been through quite a bit of change in the last 2.5 years, and this is reflective of the response that we've been able to keep that response to our citizens and to the community itself. And it requires a group leadership. I give the chief a lot of credit, but also the folks that are in the ranks, and I believe, as the officer said, that the senior guys are keeping the momentum going and the proud of our organization, and I think keeping that stride, and I, for one, appreciate it as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Chief.
These aren't mine.
I have a certificate of completion here for Ms. Graves, and I'd like to make a comment about it. I had no idea how complicated government was, and as I guess some of you know, I've been in business and still am for over 50 years. Big business, really. And I've learned a lot, and I'm still learning every day. And one of the things that helped me is Ms. Fox suggested that I go to the school that Ms. Graves went to, and it was invaluable to me. And it takes a whole bunch of your time. In this case, she had to go to Ocala, Florida. And we thank you for going, because I think you're off to a fast start, and then I think this will only make you stronger. So I'd like to present this to you.
Thank you, Mayor Winger. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we'll move forward with public comment, and Commissioner Zork, we'd like to have you come forward, please. And pleasure to have you here, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here tonight. Thank you, Mayor Winger and members of the Vero Beach City Council. I'm Tim Zork, County Commissioner for District 3. I also have with me tonight Helene Castletine from the Chamber, who's going to be coming up here to give some more details on the initiative the county will soon be undertaking. But before I get into that, deliver a personal message from our Chairman, Peter O'Brien, that he wants to help improve the communications between the municipalities and the county, and try to foster additional working relationships on different issues as they come up. During the summer of 2013, the Economic Development Council, which the City of Vero Beach has a representative, Councilman Kramer, voted to ask for funding to undertake what's been called an economic positioning review of the county. This review will take into consideration and participation from all the municipalities throughout the county. Helen and I have traveled to Fellsmere, Orchid, Indian River Shores, taking this message out that once this initiative gets underway, we'll be looking to have members of your council participate in this initiative to make the program be successful. On November, during a County Commission meeting in November, I moved forward and received approval for $75,000 to fund this initiative to help position the county in a better effort going forward on economic development. And again, this will include participation from all the municipalities, including the City of Vero Beach. And to give a little bit more background on where we're at in the process of kicking this initiative off, I'd like to bring up Helene Castletine from the Chamber, and she'll give you some more details. And after that, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight.
Thank you for coming.
Good evening. For the record, Helene Castletine, Economic Development Director with the Indian River County Chamber of Commerce. As Commissioner Zork explained, this is what we call a positioning initiative. And as he mentioned, it was last spring, actually, when I presented my proposed budget to the Economic Development Council, which is the normal route before it goes to the county commission. The council members asked me, as we were talking about the funding, if you had more money, what would you do with it? So we came back to the Economic Development Council members with this proposal for a positioning initiative. Nothing like this has ever been done in Indian River County. And basically what we propose, what we're hoping that will come back to us through a consultant, is to see where Indian River County is as compared to other states, other counties, what people think of Indian River County, Vero Beach, Sebastian, Fellsmere. Excuse me. So it's going to take a lot. We anticipate it would be about a 6 or 8 month, maybe longer process once a consultant has been brought on board. I've been working with county staff to get the request for proposals finished. We're pretty close to a final draft. It, of course, needs some input from the EDC members as well as the final approval by the Board of County Commissioners before it can be sent out there for those to respond. So we're looking probably to go through 2 budget cycles, actually, with that $75,000 that was appropriated. But there'll be a lot of communications. You guys are stakeholders, the residents of Vero Beach, the residents of the other municipalities, as well as the unincorporated Indian River County. We're going to be talking to elected officials, to business leaders, to other nonprofit groups to get their input internally as well as externally. What do those business people in Michigan think about us? What do those those business leaders in California think of Indian River County, Vero Beach, Sebastian? So I think it'll be very, very informative. I think we'll learn a lot. We'll assess what our target industries are right now, and maybe we need to make some changes. So I think it'll be very informative, very interesting, and of course, you know, we would like to have your input, and we can keep you updated as we move forward. So we're looking at probably late spring to let this RFP and hopefully get some good quality candidates as consultants and get underway. So if you all had any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Council, do you have questions?
I would just say I think it's a great step in helping us target, you know, our market and
Absolutely.
be able to understand where we are in it. And wish you much success with it. And I look forward to the fall when you come back with your report.
Yes. Well, we'll be about halfway through probably in the fall, but we'll certainly give you updates as we move forward.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Lila Blakesley with the Art Gallery downtown. We have good things coming here, I think.
We have an easel for him.
Actually, I'll let Barry Shapiro go first, and then I will go right after him because we're sort of a team on this project.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I am Barry Shapiro from Lighthouse Art and Framing. I have a few words I'd like to say, and I will keep it brief. I would like to say that there's a need for A-negative blood, and so if you there's a shortage right now. So I was out there today. Anyhow, we're here today to present to you, the City Council and the City of Vero Beach, 2 works of art in appreciation for your support of our efforts to bring art and new life to the downtown Vero Beach area, sometimes known as Main Street. First, to commemorate the establishment of the Downtown Art District, which the Council decreed in 2013, we present a photo by a local photographer, David Garrett, that has been enhanced by the artist, printed on ceramic tile, and framed by yours truly.
Thank you, Barry.
Additionally, we have a framed print that depicts the new banners that were created by the downtown art galleries and several businesses with the help of ABC Printing. Each banner has a work of art created by a local artist. The city has been gracious enough to hang these banners on light poles in and around the art district. They look great, and now they not only enhance, but they define downtown. I'd also like to mention that on Friday, February 7th, our first Friday art stroll was again attended by hundreds of people, both local residents, snowbirders, and folks who came from other towns who've heard about our terrific monthly art fiesta. The success of these art strolls, as well as the presence of new businesses in our district, such as La Galleria, Chive, Patisserie, and Blue Agave, just to name a few, is further evidence that the downtown art district has become an important part of VERO life, a retail center point, and a tourist attraction that will only get bigger and better in the coming years. Much of what has been accomplished has been through the effort of the artists and business people who care very much about the future of our community, with the city's support and organizations like Main Street, Vero Beach, and the Cultural Council. People like Lila Blakesley, who stands here with me to make this presentation, have made this all happen in a relatively short period of time. But we need even greater support from our city as we go forward in our efforts to make downtown Vero Beach not just someplace you can go once a month, but a very vibrant, everyday treasure coast mecca for young and old. The landscape artist Aaron Schur once said, "Painting a sunset is an act of faith. If you wait for it to happen, you're too late." It's like that with building communities also. So let's work together to keep the momentum that we've built up over the last year and do everything we can to make downtown Vero Beach a great place to work, to shop, to dine, and to stroll. It'll be good for all of Vero, and it will make us the model community for all of Florida. And I thank you. Lila?
Well, Barry said most everything. I wanted to reiterate just a few things. As a business owner and partner in Gallery 14, we've been open 7 years, and I have seen tremendous growth, just especially in this recent time, of all the galleries working together for the first Friday Gallery Stroll. But when I came up with the concept for the banner, it was wonderful to work with City Council, get their approval, Main Street Vero Beach, Cultural Council, ABC Printing, who did so much of the early research. It has been wonderful as an independent person, business owner, to see how everybody can work together and makes really great things happen. It was my project that I spent months on, but it came to fruition in a relatively short period of time, like Barry said. And I just want to thank every one of you, because we are seeing a different mentality and momentum downtown. The banners have brought rave reviews from everyone. We have people walking in, it's an elegant, sophisticated addition. And I just want to thank you all so much, because even with the city, the electric company, they've been wonderful, because I've had to call them a few times when business owners will say, well, you can't see my banner, or they're too high, or whatever. And it's been wonderful, the response. So I thank you again. We hope more of these great things can happen when we all work together. So much appreciation.
Mr. Mayor.
So I don't know how we do this, but we would like to present these to you. This is the file of downtown Vero Beach.
It's beautiful.
Cross section of banners.
Banners, and you can't always drive and see them all together, but it's just all the local.
That's fantastic. That's terrific to have them all in place. Thank you so much for your vision.
Why don't the two of you stand here? If anyone wants to take a photo, but more importantly, turn those around so the people on television, and Barry, if the other one too might be appropriate. Sure. Because it's the theater.
Okay.
And I'm sure we'll find a great place at City Hall to display those. So
We certainly will. Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
And I recommended they leave it on the table so after the meeting, if people want to come up.
Good idea.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Bev Parrish, if you would come up and talk about Community Day Open House at Leisure Square, you'd be glad to know that I left with Tammy a check for one break.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I'm soliciting all of you to contribute for a break. Some of you may be able to contribute for something bigger than that, but in any case.
Good evening, everybody. And I have to say how proud I am to be following that Main Street wonderful banner campaign. I worked for downtown for 16 years, so it's wonderful to see it continuing to do really great things, and I know it's going to end up achieving all of its goals because City Council has just been an amazing team player with that organization. Well, I come to you again after being here a few months ago working on my first event for the Recreation Department in this wonderful city, and I am so excited to be back again as I continue to peel away the layers of what I'd like to achieve for all of you here. I find that this continues to be such an amazing city with so many wonderful people who want to do really positive things. Certainly a sample is right here on the table. After the wonderful success that we had with the Royal Palm Point holiday events, we were not only working on that and launching that, we were working on what's going to be happening March 1st over at Leisure Square. Rob and Jeff Matthews at Leisure Square, myself and several other people had this idea that we felt we needed to show this community what Leisure Square was all about, and with that, hope that we could launch some really solid beautification to that wonderful facility, which now owns 37 of my pounds. So I am very happy to be working for a place that I spend a goodly amount of time. If it's not there, it's definitely behind my computer. So what we're doing, and you have these packages in front of you. We have Community Day Open House, March 1st. It's free to the community. It's 8:30 to 3 o'clock, and it's just jam-packed with all kinds of really good things that the Recreation Department does. And it's all going to be there at Leisure Square. Information, exhibits, demonstrations, kids' activities for the entire family, food and fun. And we're really excited about it, and we hope that you'll all come out. I know a few of you are planning to be at our groundbreaking for a pavilion. They wanted shade at the pool for their campers and their members, and it was decided that we would then start the process of trying to have a gazebo or a pavilion built. And I have to tell you, and please look at the flyers that I gave you, we found some unbelievable contractors in this community, home builders and architects, that wanted to help build this pavilion. And unfortunately, it can't come stock free. So, but we have a very modest sum that we need to raise, and we feel very confident we will. And we hope that this pavilion will not only give the shade that they were looking for, but will also be have the ability to have a stream of money coming in to that facility via weddings, concerts, parties, and the like. And I feel confident it will be a wonderful place to do those things, and I feel confident we're going to get it done. I'd like to just mention a few of the people that are participating, because I think you'll all be very impressed, and the TV watchers will be as well. Tony Donadio from Donadio and Associates, Brad Shue, Summit Construction, Robert Paw, Bill Bryant and Associates, Tony Delaporta from Delaporta Construction, Sam Jelby from Helmet House, Chris Long, Roof Authority, Robin Polensky, Sir Latour Landscape Architecture, Martina Tannery, Martina's Photography, Marcia Damerow, Fat Cat Graphics, Ginny Blossom and Kristen Spasato, and the Garden Club of Indian River County. And working with all of these people who are so gung-ho has just been a pleasure. Your packets will show the information on what we anticipate the pavilion to look like. I have that sign being made now, so I wasn't able to bring that along, but please come out on March 1st because it will be perched in the ground after our groundbreaking. Rob is holding what is the donor opportunities, and it includes a very large paver project. And everything, again, I say, is modest, from donating $125 up to a single $5,000 donation. We're going to have benches and beautiful landscaping. And what this is going to do is, starting on April 1st, the first Saturday of every month, we will have a community day there where anybody from this community who wants to come and swim in the pool, use the gym, have a barbecue, play some softball, shoot some hoops, whatever it may be, it will be free the first Saturday of every month in April. And we hope that bringing that exposure to the community is going to help build our pavilion and continue to beautify the grounds at Leisure Square. So you have my invitation. Please come. dress casually, and just come and have a really good time on March 1st. And I need to take this with me, but maybe Rob can just kind of closely pass it by you.
Yes, and I want to talk to you.
Rob, do you have any
And Rob
comment?
wants to talk too. I mean, I have to allot you some time. Oh, okay. Okay.
Bev, why don't you hold that,
I'll hold that.
Councilman
Well, okay, we'll try.
Fletcher, so it can be seen on television.
I also want to make sure that we recognize some of the sponsors. I'm going to read them off. ABC Printing, Everything Outdoors, Fat Cat Graphics, Joan Bush and Family, Ocean Oaks Dental, Paris Productions, the Roque Family Dentistry, and VERO Chem, and the Press Journal and Breeze, 93.7, 94.7 Hot Country. Lastly, we said it the last time, I'm going to say it again. You have a tremendous lady here who is working her tail off with a number of great volunteers, and she's been the major driver with this, and she's doing everything she can to help us out. Words can't say enough how much we appreciate Bev, Marty, and the whole gang.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Turner?
And I mean that. No.
You'd like to talk?
Just want to make a comment. I would assume that on March 1st at the opening that parents would have a chance to get information about summer camp.
Absolutely.
I know some people think summer camp already, but it'll be here before you know it. And for parents to know that, that you have some great programs available.
Agreed. And we do have, on that day, we have a special discount just for summer camp. So there you go. You got it.
Terrific.
We got it covered, and we've got all kinds of programs and things that we're going to recognize on that day.
Yeah, it's really terrific. And one extra thing, because I just noticed Chris Beals from ABC Printing is here. He not only printed all our flyers for this event so we could get the word out to the community, but he printed all our flyers for the holiday rec run as well. And Chris, I'm sure there'll be some more flyers. I'll come for you. But thank you. And it's people like Chris Beals and all these people that we just mentioned. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, there's a gold mine in this community, and all we have to do is ask, and people are just so generous. So thank you all for allowing me to work for the city. Nobody's put up any walls. You just let me do what I want, and it's been fun.
We're so glad to have you.
Thank you all.
Bev, you might
You
want
do
to
a
mention-
wonderful job, both of you, and thank you so very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Might want to mention about the starting a foundation.
Yeah, it's a little premature, but but since you pushed me into it, we have discovered that because the rec department is a C4 government nonprofit, a 501c4, which is wonderful, and people can make donations and get a tax deduction. But a lot of people want to be able to give to a 501c3 in preference. Additionally, grants can be secured under a 501c3 that may not be able to under a C4. We also would be able to get publicity in media that only devotes itself to a C3. So in speaking to the ad hoc committee for the rec department last week, it was decided that we're going to forge forward and try to form a 501c3 nonprofit. I've spoken to several people who are eager to be on this board. I'm Googling every day to figure out how the heck we do this, and figuring it out as the days go by. So I'm hoping in short time we will have our board together, start the application process, and hopefully within this calendar year have our 501c3. It will be a major asset for being able to beautify whatever needs to be done through grants for the Recreation Department. And we're very excited about the prospect, but it's early. We're just planting the seeds right now. So
Okay.
I'll let you know. I'll be back again.
Thank you.
Than're you all.
We're certainly looking forward to that. We really are. Okay, we'll open up for general public comments, and to note, public comments will be also after each item on the agenda. And somebody asked about the little in small print, the comments about the public comment, and they've always been our standard rules of operation, just so no one thinks that they were made up by the current council or myself. They were not. So, Stuart, you would like to come forward. Our pleasure to hear you, sir.
Good evening, Council, and thank you for the opportunity. I will be brief, and I'm sorry to be slightly negative after all the joyous...
Now, who are you first?
Sorry, Stuart Kennedy, Eugenia Road. I'm sorry to be slightly negative after all the positive, uplifting comments we had just recently. But I'd like to talk about the electricity system. And like many people inside and outside the city, we are tired of paying the high rates. And I know a lot of good work is being done to try and change that. And we've had 2 referendums which have shown the populace of being keen for things to happen. And also, you are spending our tax money to employ transactional attorneys to help try and conclude the sale. So that's all very positive. But when you read the papers, there are lots of detailed comments, both for and against. And if you've got the time and the inclination or the duty, you might be able to absorb some of this, but I want to keep this on a higher note. And I was very perturbed to read in 32963 the other day of one member of this council who has been in very regular contact with the executive director of the Florida Municipal Electric Association. And that lobbyist is strongly against this sale. I'm perturbed that I would hope you are all working together to try and achieve something. But when I read in this paper, and be it right or wrong, I'm a reader and this is what's in the paper, that 46 times in the last 6 months that person has been in contact with Barry Moline. And since our move to sell the electricity in Moline, Moline has been one of the most acerbic critics of the sale. I just think that we need some explanation as to what is going on. It sounds very destructive. If someone else hadn't asked some questions, we might not have known more detail about this. And I'm perturbed, and I look forward to perhaps getting an answer as to why this is happening, and that we can move forward positively under the guidance of your transactional attorneys to get this sale concluded. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and thank you for doing something else very good. You didn't name any person's name, and we like that. And you know, you did the right thing. You talked to us as a council, so thank you for doing that.
I read your small print, and I wanted to make sure.
Who would like to come forward? Mr. Wilson?
Good evening, Council. Charlie Wilson, P.O. Box 651114, Vero Beach, Florida. I am a city resident. I just wanted to mention that the Vero Beach Chamber of Commerce, as well as this council, is very interested in the electric issue. We know that there's been a lot of speculation about what's been going on. We announced a week or so ago that we were going to host a town hall meeting on March the 5th at the Elks Lodge on 26th Street from 6 to 8 p.m. We're planning on having a panel to be able to answer all questions and discuss all points of view: pro sale, no sale, partial sale, all kinds of sales, with the hope that we'd be able to share information and be able to pull together our community to move forward. The Vero Beach Chamber of Commerce has a concern about the effect of the electric situation on businesses, and how businesses that operate within the city of Vero Beach operate at a disadvantage to competitors who operate with less cost of electricity, and the businesses in the city of Vero Beach will then have less money left over to hire people. They will have a reason to move out of the city, which hurts our tax base. So at this point, what we would like to do is we're going to have this town hall meeting. We've invited members of the press. We want the public to be able to speak. We've invited 2 members of this council. We've invited Mr. Kramer to participate, or I'm sorry if that is a breach of the rules. We have invited 1 member of the council to participate, to be able to discuss a partial sale. And we've also requested that the city manager be available, because he is certainly the most knowledgeable person about the specifics and will be able to answer the questions of the public. This is a posted public meeting. It is no cost to attend, and all the public is invited. No one is excluded, so it is not a partisan or a series of issues. And so we would like to invite the public, and we would like to extend that invitation to we know that not more than one member of the council can sit on a panel like this, and so we're trying to have diverse views on the issue, and all views will be listened to by the public, and so we'd like to move forward. Anyway, you're invited, and we'd like to know if it's possible for perhaps the city manager to be made available on March the 5th from 6 to 8 p.m. To be able to answer questions by the public. Thank you.
All right. Who is next? Come forward, sir.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Gafanti, and I pay taxes to the city of Vero Beach. I live at 441 Holly Road. If anybody wants to send me a Christmas card, please include a check. I see that in the front of the agenda, there's some fine print, and apparently you're going back to the 3-minute rule. This fine print was the result of paranoia and cowardice, as far as I'm concerned, and the tradition in the city of Vero Beach continues. I'm glad the 3 minutes are in effect. It validates what I've been telling people all along, that you live in a small town, you get small-minded people running the government. The other thing is that I can't read my own writing. I'm sorry. Well, I have a problem with dealing with people that are opposed to my position, and because of the 3-minute rule, it disallows me from being polite. So I don't have to be polite because I don't have the time now because of the 3-minute rule. So keep that in mind. When I appear harsh, you may not like the things that I have to say. I wasn't going to come here tonight, but I did find out about this imposition of the 3-minute rule, and I'm not surprised that it's done. It's the only way that small-minded people can deal with and handle guys like Hetty. It's a shame that these people Winger represents the city of Vero Beach. It's a terrible thing to have somebody like that, small-minded person, politically speaking, in the context of his political activity, dealing with the public. You don't want the public's input. You don't want to hear what the public has to say. You think you know it all. This is a tradition with petty politicians. So I don't know if I have offended any of you, and I really don't care, because now you changed the game. And if apparently you want to play hardball, well, you better get your wits and your spikes sharpened, because you're in for a tough game.
Thank you very much for your comments. They're always appreciated. Who would like to come up forward next?
Oh, my gosh.
I guess there is nobody else. That being the case, I will move on to item D, adoption of the consent agenda. Would any member of the council like to pull any particular item, please?
I just want to say something about D6 or D5.
All right, we'll pull D5. That's fine.
I was really happy.
Well, let's...
okay.
Motion to approve?
Let the public comment for
Yes, yeah. I was just saying public comment. Anybody
Public
comment for the
comment to
consent
any of these
agenda?
items. Thank you very much. Seeing no public comment?
I'll second the motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we've adopted all the items except 5. Ms. Graves, the floor is yours.
I just wanted to say I was really pleased to see that the FAA had approved the lease and we were moving forward on this. I know a lot of work has been put into it, and I wanted to thank Eric Menger for really making that happen. So
It's going to be a major improvement along that corridor.
All right.
for approval? Yes, please move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved, 5-0. All right, we are moving to 3 public hearings. These are quasi-judicial hearings.
Just the first one.
Just the first one.
Just the first
one.
Oh,
just the first one.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that. The first one is quasi-judicial hearing A, an ordinance of the City of Vero Beach, Florida, amending the official zoning map by changing the zoning district designation of C1M Marina District to P2 Park District for city-owned property bound by East Indian River Drive on the east, Indian River Lagoon on the west, State Route 60 in the south, and the north line of Government Lot 2 on the north, containing 17.35 acres, more or less, providing for an effective date requested by the City Council. And staff presentations, I believe, come next.
First, we have to have disclosure of any ex parte
communications.
Mr. City Attorney?
None?
None from the bench?
That's if anybody's had any contact from anybody involved with the proposed.
Okay.
And I need to swear.
And now we swear in. Anybody that's going to testify, even from the audience of the hearing.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, now staff's presentation.
I think we're ready now. For the record, I'm Tim McGarry, the Director of Planning and Development for the city. As explained, this ordinance was the City Council asked the staff to draft this ordinance to change the zoning of the 17-plus acre property from C1M to P2, which is active recreation from commercial marina. This would make this zoning classification consistent with the comprehensive plan, which designates this area as park. We're showing the area included on the location map above on the screen. I just want to point out whether or not you adopt this ordinance isn't going to make a difference on whether a dog park is there. I'm getting enough letters and calls on that. Recreation uses are the use on the comp plan in this area. So any type of recreation, whether it's marine related and all that would be. So this really is a status quo, but it does clean up our comprehensive plan. And the zoning ordinance, and it makes it more, transparent to people when you look at what can be done in that district. Unless you have some questions to me, the ordinance was recommended by both the Planning and Zoning Board and staff, and we would, we would recommend approval of.
Just for clarification, I want to make sure everybody understands this is not a lease for the land. This is a change in the zoning only.
That's correct.
It also should be noted that this parcel of land is in the charter for parks, cultural, and that type of activity, so it's limited even by the charter.
And we have in the code, there's other provisions of code that affect this. So this is well covered, so it's really not a change in what could be done on that property.
And it will still be accessible by the general public. If you don't have a dog, you can still use the place.
Yes.
Do a dog.
I believe the staff and the applicant are the same, so that would move us to 4, testimony and presentation of evidence by the public with alternating speakers in support of and opposition to the application. So I saw another gentleman that was sworn in back there.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Bill Walker, St. Christopher Lane in Vero Beach. Resident Ray Neville sent you a letter, I believe it was yesterday, so I'm not sure you were able to look at it and have a chance to read it. But he cannot be here tonight, and he asked that I appear in his place and read it if it's permissible.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay. Dear Mayor Winger and members of the City Council, I'm writing to ask you to consider carefully the decision you are about to take on rezoning the 17-plus acres north of Barber Bridge and adjoining the Indian River Lagoon for approximately 1,440 feet from the Marina District to the Park District for the purpose of establishing it as a privately leased and managed dog park. This is the last undeveloped riverfront the city possesses, giving approximately 14 acres of this prime land to the Friends of the Vero Beach Dog Exercise Area Incorporated, so they may fence it entirely for the exclusive use of dog owners and their animals is a misuse of public land. Instead, consider what you might otherwise do with this last remaining lagoon front property. Continue on with existing plans to build a boardwalk and subsequent docks for marine use. Establish a learning center focused on the lagoon and its environment to include the marine hammock owned by the school district directly across the street. Permit the construction of a rowing boathouse previously denied. This can have a dramatic effect on tourism and participation by local residents on the lagoon. In addition to improving the health of the participants, we could have many more than just the Boston College rowing team visit the facilities where available. They asked the manager of the Vero Beach Hotel and Spa if their recent visit was a profitable one. In conjunction with the rowing boathouse, encourage the area high schools to establish rowing teams. Permit them to use the facility as a condition of the lease. Imagine the excitement of a rowing regatta between our two great bridges during the annual boat show. Permit the previously denied construction of the boathouse for the youth sailing organization. Get them out of the sewer plant and show our young people how important the lagoon is to the vitality of our city. Install playground equipment for the children and the grandchildren of the residents and the visitors of the city. Combined, they do outnumber the dogs in the city. Consider leasing part of the property for use by our kayak and canoe rental suppliers. Ask our local hotels if they would like if kayaks, small sailboats, and canoes were available on demand only a couple blocks away. Expand the area for kayak storage. The marina is full. Expand the launch area by the boat storage facility. And yes, provide for an off-leash fenced dog park in the location established many years ago as a dog facility in the area north of the Barber Bridge and south of Bridge Plaza Drive. There are some serious negative consequences to fencing the entirety of this property as well. As the new boat ramps over the next 20 years get increasingly greater use, parking for vehicles and trailers must be considered. As you well know, adding boat ramps to the lagoon is a very difficult process, and maximizing the use of the ones we have must be a priority. Spillover parking for major events at Riverside Park is another issue to consider. The 4th of July and the annual boat show are two events that come to mind where the property in question is needed for spillover parking. Chain link fencing is currently proposed will be just as unsightly as the fencing. The Bob Summers ballpark is not going to be used again. As far as I can tell, the equipment has been given by Recreation to the group on 16th. They're endeavoring to centralize the baseball activity in the city. Maintenance inside the fenced area, especially picking up animal waste that otherwise will wind up in the lagoon, will be an ongoing problem. Access by city for temporary storage of storm debris could be difficult. And it just seems wrong that the city will grant access to 1,400 linear feet of lagoon frontage to dogs but not people. As a resident of the closest housing to this land, VERO Towers, 275 Date Palm Road, I can tell you none of us will be able to use it, since animals are not permitted in the building. 41 residents. We do, however, have boats, kayaks, canoes, children, grandchildren, and frisbees. You well know once you decide to lease this property in its entirety to a corporation cited above, it will never be undone. The loss of this blank slate of marine property will be incalculable. The community will grow, and with it, demand for marine access. You must make the right decision for all of Vero Beach, and especially for its future. We are a city with 3 waterfronts and a sailboat on our Great Seal. Access to our lagoon is a vital part of the tradition and continued growth and prosperity of the city. There is other public land available for a large dog facility. Use that and employ the waterfront as waterfront property. I was adding to this that we have this existing property. It's now known as the Canine Exercise Area behind the Volunteer Ambulance Ambulance Squad building. And I never hear that brought up. My thoughts are if Bob Summers is going to be, the equipment there is going to be sold and removed, that in addition to the existing canine exercise area would make, I think, a very nice, sizable area for the dog people. So thank you on behalf of Ray Neville.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Cotter, there are some things in there you may want to comment or you may not want to. I leave that to you, certainly.
Well, first of all, this ordinance has nothing to do with the dog lease. The lease has been presented to the corporation, and we're waiting on a response. We've asked for a markup of that. It's my understanding that they have also asked to be placed on the agenda for the first meeting in March, which is March the 4th. But at this point, we do not have a lease and have not decided on all those details that have taken place. This ordinance really has no reference to a dog exercise area.
All right. I think Ray, though, is thinking in terms of this being a time when maybe under the consideration of the lease and so on, 20 years, as he has heard, or a nominal amount, and so on, might be something that we could consider, considering the importance of the property.
That will come up at a later date.
Okay.
So I think the suggestion would be for Mr. Neville to come back at the appropriate time.
All right.
Because this is merely a zoning change, as I understand it. Mrs. Turner, would you like to comment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say that even with the zoning change, Mr. Walker, it will not preclude the marina type activities, the kayaks, the canoes, the boardwalk. Many of the suggestions that you made would not be precluded with the zoning change. So.
Well, there are differences for marine use under the current C1M and moving to P2. And
but under this zoning, the marina can expand if we needed to do that. And the discussions, again, we do not have a lease at this point, but the discussions has been a setback along the waterfront that would allow, for example, moorings of boats.
That would be very encouraging. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Council.
Jim, if I might, as I understood it, we were telling them that while they lease this, they still is with the understanding that at some time in the future, if we need the property, we can reclaim the property, right?
Yes, sir. In the proposed lease that we have sent to them, the city would be required to give a 12-month notice for the termination of the lease. But we have not received, again, the markup, so I'm not sure what their response is at this point.
My whole point being that it's not in perpetuity that we're giving this to them. It's with the understanding that if we need that property, we can reclaim it from them.
Yes, sir, that is correct. That's our position that we're pointing out to the leasing entity.
Mr. Fletcher, I think that's an excellent point. Is there further comment from council or the public?
Not I move for a second hearing or March 4th.
We do have someone. I'm sorry. I could have seen it.
You have to be sworn in.
Mr. Moocher.
Mark Mucher, 617 Indian Lilac Road.
Mr. Moocher, I need to swear you in. Please raise your right hand.
Yeah, we have to swear you in.
That's right.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do, and I wasn't going to give testimony. I was just going to ask a question, and it wasn't even on the rezoning. I'm painfully aware that this subject is about the rezoning, and I keep hearing that it won't change anything. I just was interested in clarifying that the concessions and that whole list of things that Mr. Walker just mentioned would in fact still be allowed. I have a little trouble understanding that. And the other thing is, I just learned that that the Bob Summers baseball field was going away, and that I'm in advance of the public hearing on the dog park. I'm just curious as to what's going to happen to that part of the park. And let me see, there was one more thing. Can't think.
While you're thinking about it, you want me to answer the one about the Bob Summers ballpark. The Recreation Commission reviewed a request. What they're trying to do is consolidate on 16th the baseball programs. And one of the things that the baseball folks have asked is that we allow them to utilize the lights and some of the fencing that is at the Bob Summers Park and the scoreboard, and to transfer that out to their facilities. The Recreation Commission did vote, I think it was 4-1, to recommend to the City Council. It has not come to the City Council at this point for their consideration, but it is really for the Little League, and they'll be moving to the 16th program, and they would utilize and from a staff, we are recommending that we allow them to transfer that equipment out there. That does not remove all the fencing of the baseball field, and the determination, would it be available for pickup baseball or soccer or whatever, would be a different, that obviously would come as we move toward the future.
So there's no plan for that to become part of the dog lease. But no. And the other thing I remembered now, the other thing I wanted to ask about was the lease that you presented to them. That was not ready for them to accept. In other words, the city hasn't presented them with a signed lease for them to accept. It's just a draft lease or something.
It was prepared and sent to their attorney as our final lease. But if they have some objections to terms, they'll have
But
to
if
come
they
back
sign
to us.
it, it's done?
Yes.
I get-
Well,
the
it still has to
council
come
would
back.
have to-
No, it
City
still has to
council
come
has
back to the
not approved it
council.
yet,
Right.
Well, it's gone quite far without much council discussion, I would say then.
Well, council directed to have a lease brought back, and when we bring one back, it's executed.
Council will ask us to do two things. One is to negotiate a lease for their consideration. The second is look at other options and alternatives for dog parks.
Yeah, but you didn't do that, right? You didn't look at other alternatives?
Well, we have looked at other properties. The people in question who want to lease the property are not satisfied with any of those other parcels.
Okay, but I'm kind of surprised that, I'm not aware that the council has seen the terms of the lease.
They have not, because we have not reached the terms of the lease.
But you said the other party could sign and subject to a final council approval, those would be the locked-in terms.
Yeah, the council would have to approve it.
Yeah, typically, the council gives direction, city manager gives his input, we draft a lease, goes to the potential tenant. If they find it acceptable, they execute it, and we take it to the council. If then the council doesn't approve it, obviously, we have to go back to the tenant.
I just thought the public would have some into the terms of the lease. And
if you'd like
I
a
guess
copy-
they will at the time of final approval,
Absolutely.
but it just seems to me that at that time, it's probably too late.
I'm not sure how 15,000 people could negotiate a lease,
Well,
but I mean, so you got to have a document that somebody can read.
Well, you
so.
can have some public hearings before you prepare a lease, is I guess what I'm proposing.
Well, the city uses pretty standard terms in their leases, and that's what we've done. To
A
protect
lease
the
is
city.
available for public comment.
Yes,
I mean,
you can get
the public can come in and access it.
Absolutely.
absolutely.
You can get a copy from Tammy.
Tammy's
Right.
got copies.
Is it on the website now?
No, but I'll send you a copy.
Mr. Tim.
Oh, and just let me point out, this development will go through a public hearing process itself for the actual, even though we have a lease. So the public will also have an opportunity at that time to
Has P&Z seen this yet, Tim?
No,
No.
No,
No.
they have not seen anything yet. I have not had anything submitted to my office yet. I've just seen the draft lease, so I'm a little aware. I'm generally aware of what's going to be in there. I just want to follow up again, just to a point of clarification, that basically the comprehensive plan now, the designation doesn't allow commercial type uses anyway. Our charter prohibits it. This doesn't change anything. That's what we've said. But incidental concessions are allowed in any of our parks. So I just want to make that clear. But other than that, I have nothing else to add.
Any other comment by the council or the public, for that matter?
I guess what I'm getting at is P&Z, this doesn't rise to the level of going to P&C, just a change on the zoning.
Oh, no, it's already been through the P&Z.
It's been through P&Z?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I was talking
That's-
about the site plan. I
No,
apologize,
I-
because since we were off the topic, the subject, I
Yeah.
thought I'd added in
That's
my
fine.
own 2 cents.
My point is, I guess I should have said, cut to the chase, as P&Z has reviewed this, period.
There you go.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move for a second hearing on March the 4th.
This is our second hearing, I believe.
No, this
No,
is
this is the first hearing. I'll
Oh.
second.
It's a
Ms.
first reading because it's
Okay.
quasi-judicial, Ms. Graves, so
Thank
it's a little
you.
different.
I'll
I
second it.
apologize, Mr. Mayor.
Anything more than 10 acres requires 2 hearings, so
Okay.
that's just something for you to remember, okay?
All right. If there's no further comment, we have to have a roll call on this, I believe.
Mr. Fletcher?
Yes.
Ms. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Winger?
Yes. We'll move to 3B, and these quasi-judicial, and I believe this is the first hearing for this, is it not?
This will be the
Second?
final public hearing.
Oh, this is the final hearing. All right. I'm glad I clarified that.
Why does it say preventing for an effect?
An ordinance of the City of Vero Beach, Florida, amending Section 2-102, 2-105, and 2-106 in Article 3, Commissions and Boards of Chapter 2, Administration of the Code of the City of Vero Beach, relating to city commissions and boards, providing for transition severability, providing for an effective date requested by the City Council. First thing we do is any staff comments.
Well, this isn't quasi-judicial, is it?
No, but it's still,
Oh.
seeing none. We also have a public hearing on this. Mr. Wilson? Oh, I see. Well, see nobody on public hearing. Okay, thank you, sir. Council comments, Mr. Kramer, would you like to go first, please?
Sure, I'll motion to approve.
Further comments?
Discussion?
Absolutely.
Yes, I would still like to ask Mr. Common if he has an example how this ordinance will streamline the method of conducting the business of the Utility Commission, which is stated in the whereas statement, as well as how this ordinance will serve to promote and improve efficiency.
I'm just the drafter. I bring it to you as we develop it by
Once
from
again,
direction of council.
if you can't give me one example for those two things, I request that those two whereas clauses be deleted.
You can make that motion.
I guess I'll echo the same thing Ms. Turner has said. I don't see that this is going to help anything at all.
All right.
It won't improve the functionality of the committee.
Seeing no motion, and I'll ask for a second of Mr. Kramer's motion. I'll second it. All right, Mrs. Vaca, roll call, please.
Mr. Fletcher?
No.
Ms. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Turner?
No.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Winger?
Yes.
Passes 3-2.
All right, we move to 3C. Is this a first or second hearing?
This is the
please?
final public hearing.
Thank you. An ordinance of the City of Vero Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 58, Personnel and Retirement, Article 2, Division of 4 and 5 of the Code of the Ordinances of the City of Vero Beach to provide for Internal Revenue Code compliance, providing for repeal of all ordinance in conflict herewith, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date required by the Police Pension Board. And staff comment, I believe, would be next.
The only thing I can report, if you remember, we had the chairman of the Police Pension Board here last time. We did ask for the benefit of council to have Mr. Glenn Thomas, who is the pension attorney that was retained to deal with other pension matters. We asked him to review it, and he confirmed that the changes are necessary in order to bring it into compliance with IRS rules. And in fact, the city's general employee plan will have to have some of the same changes.
All right. Anyone from the public like to speak to this matter? Seeing no one, to close public hearing. Council comments, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this was brought up before the last meeting. I made a request, does this have any financial impact? And I was told it did not. However, when I received the minutes from the Police Pension Board recently, it raised a lot of questions. One saying, Mr. Little explaining that they have an ordinance that it includes all the collective bargaining agreement changes. Is that true? And if so, what are they? It also goes on further to say that he explained that he has to do an impact statement on this ordinance. There's apparently a clause that says, if applicable, that was part of trying to get IRS approval. Well, if it's applicable, there will be an impact and cost change. Once again, this just, like I said, going through these minutes raised a lot of questions, and I would certainly like to see the financial impact of this addressed more thoroughly before approval.
Well, only thing I can report to you, the very first item you have is the impact statement by the actuarial, I believe, and he states that there is no material impact to the cost of the plan.
Is that today's cost of the plan? Is that the future cost of the plan? Does that include whether these clauses are applicable or not? Once again, I said it just...
They chose not to have somebody here to explain this. So
I would request that this be until we get some further answers to these questions.
Mr. O'Connor, what is your comment, please?
Well, we've got to have the provisions in place for IRS, and whether it has an impact or not have an impact, the fact of the matter is it's got to be done, because we've got to be in conformance with IRS regulations. And when they talk about the impact of the labor contract, two areas that really come to mind. One is that we did grant the pay raise, the 2.5 average overall, but the other, that would be a positive impact where it would cost us money, but Where we're saving money is the impact where we reduce the overtime payment. Now, what those numbers and how they work out obviously go into the benefits of the police officers as they accrue their pension benefits. And so you would have to, I presume, would have to have a year of that impact in order to do a total analysis of what it would be right after the contract, because the contract's been in place less than a year at this point. But I think the numbers are going to be relatively small, and the other issue is the return on your investment that you're making sort of impacts what your contribution is going to be more than anything in an IRS regulation.
So we're passing something without the knowledge of what the impact is what you're telling me?
Yes, sir. You know, we can have the actuarial come and give that. I think he's going to give you the same, probably give you the same report.
Same dance that you gave me.
Yes, sir. Because you don't know until after you have the history as to where that.
There's no way that finance could project numbers.
No, we would go back to the actuarial. We don't have that skill set of. But we could ask the actuarial for the police pension board to make a presentation to the council on it. We have no problem with that.
But you can see, I hope, where it makes us nervous, not knowing what the impact would be, not having actual numbers. We're just doing something because, yea, verily, it says we have to do it.
Right. The only consequence is that in order to be in conformance with the IRS, based on what our attorney's saying and what the attorney for the police pension board, ultimately you have to pass this. So
yeah, but what's the timing for it to be required? Yeah, I think we still can get some more information before and be within the time frame of passing.
What is the possibility of the actuarial actually giving to the written report? I'd settle in for that. If you
we can ask for that.
All right with you?
I would just like these questions addressed because, like I said, reading the minutes from this meeting, I found it very unsettling.
Well, Mr. O'Connor, can we table this until the next meeting, and can you get the actuary to answer Mrs. Turner, Mr. Fletcher's questions to the best of their ability, such as it would be?
The answer to the question, yes, you can defer action until the next meeting.
And I understand that it might be a prediction, but I'd like to see the trend.
At least some information on. Yeah.
Or your costs are going to go up over time because we've adjusted pay. But
I can tell you, the first time they sent this to my office, I said, "Where's the actuarial statement?" Yeah. And all it said was, "We can't predict." And so we sent it back. We told them we can't take this to council without an impact statement that says what's the impact, and this is what we got in response. So.
If you don't mind, if
that's kind
you
of
could
scary.
Send me the specific questions, I'll pass those on to Mr. Little.
I'll be glad to. Thank you very much, Mr. O'Connor.
So I think we have general consensus.
Let's move it off next meeting.
To move to the next meeting.
Yep.
Just continue this public hearing to
March the 4th.
March the 4th, date certain. That way, Tammy, you won't have to advertise it again, will you?
No.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to that effect?
Yes, please.
I so move that we review this on March the 4th.
I'll second it. Mrs. Bach, I think you have to call the roll.
Mr. Fletcher?
Yes.
Ms. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Winger?
Yes. All right, we're moving to 5 first readings by title for ordinance and resolutions that require a future public hearing. This one would have a public hearing, I'm advised, on March the 4th of this year. And it's entitled An Ordinance of the City of Vero Beach, Florida, updating the capital improvement schedule of the comprehensive plans, capital improvements elements for fiscal year 2013-14 through fiscal years 2017-18, providing for conflict and severability, providing for an effective date, requested by the Planning and Development Director. Mr. McGarry?
Oh, thank you. I'll try to make this short. This draft ordinance, as pointed out, is to update the capital improvement schedule to meet the requirements of Florida statutes. It requires us to look at each year our capital improvements that are related to those type of capital projects that are needed to achieve or maintain our levels of service for roads, storm drainage, water, sewer, recreation, solid waste, and school system. All the projects in the capital list were approved by you in the 5-year budget. So this is an after-the-fact bookkeeping, kind of housekeeping thing. If in the best of all possible worlds, I'd redo the whole chapter, but I don't have the time to do that because all the numbers are going to change. And Cindy's busy, and I'm going to try to work with her so we can have that done that way. We also included in there, we have the MPO transportation improvements because some of those projects affect the city as well as the county's roads, which also affect our concurrency, and the school district's 5-year work program. So as I said, this is pretty what it is. It's just a housekeeping measure. There's not a lot to say about that. So unless you have specific questions of me, I'd recommend you moving forward.
We still need public comment. If anyone would like to speak to any of these projects, now's the time. Seeing no public comment, is there any council comment? Mrs. Turner, Mr. Fletcher, Ms. Graves?
Move to adopt for next reading at the 4th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Bach?
Mr. Fletcher?
Yes.
Ms. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Winger?
Yes. We move to city clerk's matters. Mrs. Bach, please.
Yes, I just have one item. Council received a resignation letter from Scott Stradley, who presently sits on the High Speed Rail Commission as the representative for Main Street, Vero Beach. Main Street, Vero Beach is recommending that Ms. Debbie Avery take Mr. Stradley's place on the commission, and I have attached a copy of her application for council's review.
Any comment?
Motion to appoint.
Second.
This is just the open roll call, Mrs. Bach. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none opposed. City managers meetings, Mr. O'Connor, you asked.
Can we take a break?
Yes, we'll do the city managers meeting and then we'll take a break. If that's okay with you. That's what my plan was.
I really only have one item, and I was asked to talk about the FP&L update. Discussions have taken place as late as today between FP&L and FMPA, and those discussions hopefully are going to help give us an indication in the short term what direction we're going to go and how we're going to accomplish the goal. But we are continuing those discussions and trying to put together a package that we feel like that will meet the FMPA request.
Further questions of Mr. O'Connor, please.
No, but Mr. Mayor, while we're talking about the FPL deal, obviously with sunshine laws, I've been unable to give Mr. Kramer a chance to respond to this article that appeared about 46 phone calls and 538 minutes with Barry Moline. I mean, calls occurring at 11:30 at night, and successive calls on days before meetings. And as an elected official and having received the vote of the voters to move forward with the sale for electric on 2 referendums, I believe there would be some disclosure or some response.
Well, I can say for disclosure that I didn't have to give these phone calls out. I mean, a lot of these are private phone calls. Charlie Wilson asked. I'm transparent. I gave them to you. But I was really disappointed that nobody asked what the content of what these were. And if you notice, these are after meetings. He wants to know what goes on. I want to know what goes on. For an example, you went down to Lake Worth. I wanted to know what you talked about when you were down there. He told me. He wants to know what happens at council meetings. Okay, and I told him. I mean, I don't have a problem with anything. You guys want to know? That's fine. I mean, the city managers just gave you a really cryptic answer as to, hey, what's going on? There's no details there. I got to find details otherwise. Do I go call up the $500 attorney and ask him? Barry's a lot cheaper. I mean, I'm supposed to be getting FMPA updates. I got to talk to Barry as to what happens in those meetings.
Any of the meetings of FMPA are public records, and the minutes are all available, Mr. Kramer. So that's not quite an accurate analogy.
He tells me what goes on.
We're actually in the city manager's matters. So you all had a dialogue. There's a member of the public that would like to speak. Do you want him to speak or not? Because it's, at this point, I believe, optional. I mean, I don't care. No, that's fine. He says fine.
That's fine.
Charlie Wilson, yes, I did ask for the information, and but I'm not sure I agree that it was necessarily voluntary. What happened was when we were at a meeting here, one of the council members disclosed that they had talked to FMPA, and then I asked for the emails from the city clerk, and there were no emails. And since there were no emails and no written records, that meant that the only other record available were private phone calls on a private telephone or a private computer, which then made them public. Because even though if you conduct private business on our public business on your private telephones or your private computers, that makes them available. I want you to know that I've also requested from the state of Florida, they keep records on lobbyists and what they spend and what they do. And I've requested those records on what Barry Moline has been doing. You'll recall that Barry Moline was instrumental in making the video that was opposed to the two referendums that took place. Mr. Kramer, the councilman, I take each councilman at their word, except that these meetings are televised and the video is available in real time on anybody's computer anywhere in the world. And I'm sure that Mr. Moline is able to watch these meetings and know precisely what happened in the meetings, unless he's trying to get private information or inside information on what's going on with the council. I am concerned when a council member, any council member, is sleeping with the enemy. It is true that FMPA is the single blocking to rate reduction and removing the burden that every citizen has in this community.
Charlie, hold on a second. Let me make a correction.
All right.
Barry Moline does not work for FMPA. Okay, he's FMEA. He is not a party to any contracts. He's got an opinion, yes, but he is not a party to this at all. It is not FMPA. It's FMEA, which Barry is a part of.
Which is the whole lobbying arm of FMPA. I mean, all the members of the same, there is no difference between one organization and the other. I mean, it is part of.
Well, let's be fair about it. I mean, how many phone calls do you make to Glenn Herron or FP&L? I mean, I want to know. Or, I mean, come on. Let's be fair. Let's open up everybody's phone calls.
Let's do,
Why not?
and that's one of the reasons we're having this
meeting. I don't
meeting.
have a problem with it.
But I think the question here is what side are you on?
I'm trying to get the rates down, Charlie. That's the side that I'm on. I don't know what side you're on. To get the rates high?
No. Side I'm on is that the only way to permanent reduction for the last 35 years, to a permanent reduction and relieving the burden that we face as a community, is the sale of VERO electric.
That's not true. FP&L has got their lobbyists up there right now trying to raise their rates.
Well, I can tell you that we've had 2 referendums on the matter, and I believe the public has spoken. So the real question, and I appreciate it, and I will sit down. I'm not here to be argumentative. It speaks for itself. The fact is that you have been talking to the lobbyists opposing the sale of this 46 times, surrounding meetings that we've had in opposition to what we're trying to do as a community.
Charlie, that just
our
proves I'm
question
honest.
simply is whose side you want.
I'm an honest guy, and I got reelected.
Yeah, I think I think this is past useful.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Yeah.
And we've heard the comments, and the comments are the comments. Mr. Christopher, would you like to identify yourself?
This
Where
is
do you live,
outrageous.
please?
I have never heard or experienced anything like this. I hope you elected officials talk to people that can give you information, whether they're the enemy, favors, pro, con. I hope you learn. To suggest that a county council member should not talk to somebody is outrageous. This is why wars occur. I'm shocked.
Thank you for your counsel, Mr. Chris. Appreciate it as always. Are there further questions for the city manager, not on the topic of the electric, but others?
Well, let him come up.
Okay, come on up.
John Wester, 455 Fiddle Road, Vero Beach, 32963, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I've yet to meet anybody who thinks that Jay was out of line. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments also. If there are no more matters for the city Manager, I'd like to take a break till.
Before we do that, Mr. Mayor, just want to clean up the final thing. Royal Palm Point this Saturday, Wings and Brew. Please turn out. It's the Rotary Club, again, a major actor in our community that is having that. So it's a great time to be had by all.
Okay, well, we'll come back at 7:40, please.